Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 158. Now, as you can hear from my voice, I've been sick. It's been a frustrating week in the sense that I got my mojo back. I've been wanting to hobby, but Wednesday I got sick. Spent a lot of time on my awesome sofa while also working. And getting myself better. I am so much better. I've been better for a day or two, but yesterday my voice started to crack, and today it's very, very husky and sexy and not like me at all. So yeah, a bit frustrating. So I lost a couple of days of motivation just because I was asleep on the sofa. But I'm glad that I'm feeling better now, so that's all good. And I've got a very good friend visiting at the moment, which also has stopped me hobbying, but I don't care because it's so good to see him. And I got better in time for his arrival, so that's what matters. So yeah, it's been a good week because the motivation's back. I'm feeling much more positive and excited about things, and it's a good week now because yeah, I'm better, and next week I'll be able to push on through, and hopefully this voice will come back. Though I'm not sure Angela would agree, and everything will be good then. Anyway, enough rambling. That's a bit of a different introduction. There's a good variety of projects this week, so I really hope you enjoy them. And let me know what you think in the comments below. I do love reading them all, and I do reply to every single one, so don't be shy, do say hello. But yeah, enjoy the video, and I'll see you again at the end. Well, I managed to remember to stick these spines or whatever sharp things on to Smaug's wings, and that's the last bit of assembly, which is pretty cool. So what I'm just doing now is priming them with my grey primer, and then I'm going to start painting, which is obviously very exciting and very scary indeed. But yeah, I'm glad to be at this stage. This has been a slower process than I expected, not because it's been harder than I expected, but just because my motivation has dipped and risen and dipped and risen many times for doing any hobbying. The fact that this is for Rosie is about the only reason I'm still doing it, I think. But yeah, so I'm just gonna prime these up very quickly, as you can see, and then I'll bring you along for the painting process, which will be fun in the extreme. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it at the moment. I had ideas and then they keep changing. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll end up being good. I have also primed the base and also Bilbo, as I said I would. He's still on his little section of sprue, but it's absolutely fine because the section of sprue he's on is only touching his feet, which obviously I'm going to be gluing down to the base. So anyway, there we are. I've talked all the while I prime this. That's how quick that is. So I'll let that to dry and then bring you back for the next step, which will be starting to paint these things very shortly. Alright, so let's get to the snow. So I use a technique making use of soft flake snow from Woodland Scenics. I have actually made quite a lot of snow not using soft flake and just using I always forget what it's called, using baking soda. I had to go and look that up, and that works very well, but I do have a lot of success with this as well. So I'm just going to get myself a container, put some snow in it like this. I need quite a lot for this project, so tell you what, let's point the camera down a little bit more so you can actually see what I'm doing. There we are. So yeah, we've got a little container with some snow in it that I've just shaken in, and then what you do is you put PVA glue in and a little bit of water, mix it up, and then it becomes a nice paste, and then you can basically slap it on. Simple as that. So you can paint this on. I use this little spatula, no idea where I got it from. I think actually this is something which is from way back when I was like 8 and 9 and 10 years old doing model railways with my dad, and I'm pretty sure that this is a tool that that I inherited from him. But I find it quite nice for stirring up this stuff and for applying it as well. So you can get a little scoop because it's got a little kind of like scoop area, and it's like a small spoon. So once you've mixed it up, I've made that a little bit sloppy, but I think it's going to be okay. I want this to be quite a heavily snowed area. What we can do is you can apply it on and spread it around like this, and even put some on top of some of the tufts, because snow does sit on tufts. So yeah, so I'm going to do this. Get my snow coming down this kind of like embankment here, and probably will end up needing to mix some more up. Like I say, this is going to be a lot of snow on this, but it's as simple as that. So I've got some music on and you can watch as I build this up. Well, there we are. That was fun. I'll let that dry. Gonna wash this out now. Didn't need to mix any more up. I made almost exactly the right amount, so that was good. And when that's dry, I'll bring it back and show what it looks like. So what I've got here is, I had a storage unit which I made, which was rubbish, so I took it apart a little while ago when I was clearing out the roof, and this is one of the shelves that was in it. It's just got a bit of plywood, and I've just stacked it to one side, and now I'm going to make use of it to do the solid bases, the really hard wearing bases for these pieces. So I'm going to need to take the screws out and then basically go downstairs, get my jigsaw and cut out bases for each of these, and then I'll use my sander to make the to give it a really nice smooth transition. So I'll sand down each of the edges, glue these on, and then we'll start doing the actual painting and the texturing and the sealing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to film much of that because it's going to be a lot of power tools and what have you, which is very noisy and doesn't really translate well to how I film. But I thought I'd just show you that. What I'm going to do to work out roughly the size, I've got several of these shelves I can make use of, so I don't actually need to squish them all onto one, but I think looking at it I should be able to. I'm basically going to draw around with a Sharpie roughly how big I want the base to be, so that will be a good size for this big piece, as you can see. And then what I can do is, just so that I can remember where I had it set, I can draw little kind of like the corners, and that will mean that I'll be able to set that back down in place quite easily. And then this bit is going to be smaller, obviously, so let's prioritise this one first. So yeah, you can see I can quite easily get all of them from here, I think, and then we'll just draw the corners on again in the same way. So yeah, so I'll go and get these cut out and prepped, and then bring you back when that's done, because yeah, like I say, power tools isn't really what you want to listen to, is it? But this will be the next step to do, so I'll bring you back when I get the next step done. Well, I took these down, put them through the with my jigsaw, and as you can see, it's really splintered and it doesn't look very good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some music on while I do this, because the sound isn't going to be very nice, but I'm just going to show you how I go about smoothing that off using my Dremel with a little bit of a sanding disc. So put the music on, and here we go.
Right, well there we are. I've just done a little bit of this. I'm not going to do most of it up here. I'm in room 13 and I'm going to go back down to the workshop and finish it off. But you can see there that with very little effort, when you've got a good tool like that, you can get it and there's no splinters, and it's a lovely smooth step, so that when you've got your miniatures, you're going to be able to transition from the flat table going up onto the top of this, and that will look great. So that's a lot of sanding. It's going to take me a while. I've got to do all the way around the edge of this. It'll probably take me a couple of days. I'm going to just do it in bits and bats, as I always say that, but then I often just kind of hammer through it. So I'm going to clean up here, take these downstairs and get to sanding, and I'll bring you back when I come to the gluing and the texture. I just thought I'd show that step. Having said I wasn't going to, I thought actually it was quite worthwhile. As if that was going to take me days. I just went down. I had a couple of 3D prints I needed to get through the final curing process in the curing machine. So while I was doing that, I got stuck in, and I have sanded them all down. So what I'm going to do now is coat them with PVA on both sides. So this is to prevent warping, hopefully. So hopefully it will work. So I'll paint the PVA on. Dries very, very quickly, especially when you do it this thin. Then turn it over and do the other side. A little bit of warping people won't be surprised by, but I really don't want it to be getting more and more warped. Now the other way that I'll be preventing this warping is by the techniques that I'll use on top. So I won't be putting anything wet or paint wise directly onto the wood, apart from maybe on this area which I've just sanded out. I'll be using the modelling compound, which doesn't warp and will keep it really, really nice and flat. So that's another little thing. But I wanted to be absolutely sure, seeing as this is not just for me, this is actually for ArdaCon. I really want to make sure this comes out well. So fingers crossed, this process succeeds. It's worked in the past, so hopefully it'll work this time. I'll get this done. As I say, thin coat on both sides. And when that's dry, I'll bring you back, and then actually we will come to gluing these on. I keep telling you we're going to do that next, and they keep pulling out more segments, but honestly, promise you, next time we'll be gluing things on. Alright, so my glue is dry. And what I'm going to do now is stick these pieces onto their bases. So I'm going to make use of my Moment Fix Extreme Power Glue, which I really, really like for this sort of thing. I'm actually not gonna press it down loads and loads and loads. I'm actually quite happy with it being a little bit above the wood, because I'm going to come in with modelling compound, and that would actually make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to glue each piece down like that. You can see I've got a little bit of a lift under there. So I'll glue all these down, and then just picking up this one, and then leave that overnight. And when it's tomorrow in the morning, I can come along and do the texturing around, or do the modelling compound around it, and carry on. So yeah, I mean, I need to take this to James next May. So I have 6 months literally to finish this project, which is good, because this is only the first part of this build. I'm going to do some debris fields. I'm going to do some trees. I'm going to have a few different pieces going on. It's not just going to be these. So yeah, this is going to give me a good chance to get all of this done really nicely. So anyway, so I'll glue the last one down off camera, leave them to dry overnight, and then we'll do the next step on camera tomorrow. Alright, so that's glued down now. So what I'm going to do, I've got myself some modelling compound that I've mixed up, and I'm not going to put it all over the base. Or I might do, but I'm not going to go over and cover over where I've sanded down. But I'm just going to fill in that gap around the edge. And I think this is going to be a couple of stages of doing it with modelling compound, because another thing that I want to do is I want to put a very thin skim And this is going to be what's going to be the most difficult thing, because doing this thin is not something that I do very often. But I'm also going to cover over my the foam with some modelling compound, and that's going to make it very hard wearing and easy to paint and work with. So I won't film all this because it's going to be quite a samey process. I'm just going to sit here. I've mixed it a little bit wetter than I normally do because I want to get it thinner. So that's one thing that I've done differently here. But this should mean that we end up with a nice solid base that isn't going to be damaged in play or transit or anything like that, because as I say, this is unusually for me, this is actually going to be used on for gaming in a competition, whereas most of my stuff is just for me, so I need to make it a little bit tougher. So yeah, so I'm just going to spend a little bit of time doing this, get this all covered over. So I'll bring you back when I get it done. The other thing that I am going to do is I've got some offcuts, and I'm actually going to stick them onto the base as well. So not much. I might put one here and one here, just to add a little bit of interest to make it look like some of the stones have fallen down. So I'll do that as well. I'm going to put more of those on the largest base. So yeah, so I'll do that anyway. I won't put that on camera because, yeah, just gluing down bits of XPS, and then I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing here, which is putting a thin skim to seal the material. So anyway, enough rambling. I'll bring you back when it's done. Like I say, it might take a little bit of time, this, not sure. So I just need to do it really, really carefully. And I want it to be thin because I don't want to impact too much what my steps are like. And there we are, that's finished. And I'm very pleased with how that looks. It's a really cool base. I can pull that out easily to make use of it in the game if I wish to, which I probably will. And then I can have it on the display looking epic. So very, very pleased with that indeed. And the snow, as you can see, the snow's come out really nicely. The little bare tufts have come out really nicely. Yeah, I'm just all round pleased with how that's turned out. So that's going to go on the shelf now. And now I need to think about whether I'm going to make the other giant or not. I don't know. Well, it's time for a new project, and this is the next TCU challenge. The theme is Lost Kingdom. Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool theme, obviously. I had the immediate idea to do something for the model railway, which is getting closer to starting, and to do something around dinosaurs, because what does Lost Kingdom bring to my mind but dinosaurs? So I backed a Kickstarter quite a while ago from a company called 3DIP, and it's all dinosaurs. And I've started printing out the dinosaurs, and then I've realised that they are not scaled correctly. So I'm not going to throw them away. I'll probably paint them up and give them to Rosie to play with, because they're pretty cool. But this evening I've spent a couple of hours just going through rescaling a bunch of the dinosaurs, and they're now back on the printer and printing away. So yeah, here's another one that's just probably about needs to be about 60% of that size to fit into the scale of an HO scale diorama. But what I am going to do is build it on this base, which is one of the things that I took out of the roof, the attic, the old storage unit, which didn't work very well, but this is going to work really well as a good size for a dinosaur park, and that's what it's going to be. So I will have various displays of dinosaurs, and I'll have paths going around and trees on it and a little bit of 3D, and then when this is done, it can be put onto the layout as part of as a vignette. Now, what I might do as part of this build is leave a little bit of a path where I'll be able to run the tracks through, The alternative I've got is potentially leave a bit of a gap which I can then fill in when I place it on the layout, which will have a platform, or I might even, if I get time, do the platform now, because that would be really cool. Welcome to the Lost Kingdom and what have you, and have people able to come in and walk around in it, my little train people. So anyway, that's the plan. Once I've finished printing all the dinosaurs that are going to be on it, then I'll be able to actually start working on it, and I'm hoping that maybe in the next day or two they will all be printed. I've got one print going now which is going to take 10 hours. That's the Brontosaurus, obviously the biggest one. So once I've got everything, then I'll set them on here, we'll draw around it, we'll work out where things will go, and then we can start to actually build up the scene. But I'm very excited about this. It's just another thing that can go on the model railway, and also it's a really, really cool scene to build anyway. So yeah, I'll bring you along, show you how I do it. Well, it's a big moment and I'm a bit scared, but what I need to do is remove my dam and hope that it's not going to be destroyed. So yeah, there is a lot of resin, a lot of silicon, as you can see. Look at all that silicon that I had there. So I think this is going to be a destructive process. I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to be able to film, because yeah, I'm a little nervous of it, to be honest. I might need to get a spatula and try and slide it down the inside, or I need to get these nails out for sure. But yeah, let's get started on it, eh? Let's see how it works. Let's see what happens. Definitely going to need to come in with a sander, because it has attached slightly to the... I'm going to have to sand a little bit. I'll bring you closer in. What I might do is try and get a little bit of it removed here, and then bring you closer in. So let me get that done. Oh dear. Let me get that done. I need to get a hammer to pull out these nails and split and separate it out. But yeah, wow, it is a big moment. I'll bring you closer in when I've got a little bit more to show you. So as I thought, this is not proving to be very easy, but I'm getting there. So here, this is quite well stuck to the resin, but you can see nice and clear there. So I should be able to peel that off with a lot of patience, and maybe come in with a sanding and just sand it off. I'm not going to do that now because it's night and a lot of people are asleep. So what I thought I'd do quickly is show you how I'm working on this. So I've just got a little hammer here. You can see there's a nail that I've just pulled out, and I'm working my way along, actually a little bit further along than when I've focused. So here, so I'm working my way along like this, and just very gently pulling, try not to be too greedy. And that got too greedy. I'm also having to peel out the sealant that I put underneath, which is why it stopped. I forgot that I had not removed that, so let's get the rest of it. So just peeling out the sealant at the bottom. And interestingly enough, at this end, we can see quite clearly where resin leaked in some of the early pours and also some of the later pours. And so this outer wood is actually stuck with resin over here, which is going to be fun to remove. But like I say, I'll get a sander on it and work very slowly to clean it up. I won't rush it, I'll take my time. I spent too much money on this and time to rush now. But yeah, if we get rid of all of this silicone sealant, that makes it possible to get in underneath like that. It's not very easy. I think this end had the worst leaks. So yeah, this is what I'm having to do. I think it's going to be worth it in the end. I hope so anyway. What I don't want to do is destroy it, so I need to take it easy, like I say. take a little bit longer and actually get a better result rather than rush it. So just doing it steadily, like I say. Anyway, I will get on with this, and I will bring you back when I've got something more to show you. This is now torn quite substantially, so let's just see what happens. Yeah, there we are. So you can see that I'm having trouble when I get up to the actual resin, and I was kind of expecting that. So this is not a shock, but it's a little bit disappointing. I hope that I might have gotten lucky, but you've got to remember that I poured this first resin layer literally years ago, so it's not surprising that it's very well stuck. Right, I'll bring you back when I get to the next step, whatever that is. I think I'm about done with what I can do now, because I need to start getting power tools out and sanding the wood away all along here. Just come along and grind it away. Never mind. I'm not surprised. I feared this would be the case. What would probably been a better idea is if I'd have put plastic and then the wood. But you live and learn. And at that back then I didn't have any of that. And I'm not even sure what I'd use now. So yeah. Yeah, it's stuck completely firmly to the resin. Can't get it separating at all down here. Might be able to come in with a knife. I might try that. Anyway, I'm rambling now. This is going to be fun. Right, so I'm making some progress. I am absolutely going to have to sand this down once I've finished. But making use of my Stanley knife, I thought I'd quickly just film a bit of how I'm going about it. Death by 1,000 cuts, basically. It's absolutely going to need to come along with a sander, but I don't want to have to sand through all of this. So with lots of shallow cuts, and this is not going to be quick, and it takes a lot of effort actually. You can see that we are actually getting through to the resin behind, and you can see exactly how much of that resin went into the wood, which is what's caused the problem. Which is obvious. Like I say, I wasn't kind of thinking this was going to happen. I'm just disappointed it's happened quite so much. So I'm going to have to sit here for the next however long, just a little bit every day, carving this out and removing this hardboard here, which is, yeah, just completely and utterly bound to the resin. But it's going to work, it's just going to take time. And it's going to mean that then I can come along with my sander, sand down, smooth it out, get a wet sand on there as well to really polish it up. And then, yeah, rocking and rolling. I'll be able to move on with the project. So I'll just take as long as it takes, and I'll let you know roughly how long it's taken when I've finished. I'm not going to film all of it because, yeah, this is going to take me, when I say this a lot, oh, this will probably take me a while. This will take me weeks, as you can see. So it's just going to be a job for when I want to come in here and do it. I highly doubt. But it'd be nice if I get this done by Christmas, put it that way. But we shall see. Anyway, yeah. If you're doing a big pour like this, or any pour like this, don't just use wood. Put plastic down in front. Trust me. Well, I've been printing out dinosaurs, and this one is going to be a baby Brontosaurus. And you can see there's a little bit of filling that's needed to be done on the middle of this. So I'm just going to make use of some milliput to do that. I will just get that filled. I've got a bunch more. I've got the daddy or mummy, whatever, the adult, that's just finishing printing right now. Just finished printing, and I've got a bunch of other ones as well. And I'm probably nearly finished. I think I've got one more plate to do. I did find that I printed them all out at the wrong scale, so a bunch of them that I printed were just way too big or way too small either way. And so yeah, this is the size it comes without scaling, and it's about 50% too small. So I've had to reprint a lot of them, but at least they're going to look nice, and that'll be quite a nice little thing. I'm also going to, it's just exactly obviously the same sculpt that I've just scaled up, so I'm going to, for the adult one, I'm going to cut and position the head in a slightly different position, and the tail and what have you, and just yeah, so that'll be a bit of fun, make it a little bit more varied. So I'm just going to fill that with milliput, and then I'm going to start priming them pretty much straight away as well. As they come off of the curing and they finish this step, I'll prime them straight away with my grey primer, and then I can start painting them, which is cool.
Well, I've not quite finished printing everything that I need to for this, but yeah, I've started to place it onto the board, as you can see, just so I can get an idea of the scope and the size of the challenge. Not sure whether I'm going to keep with this size board or try to make it a bit smaller. I've only got very few more things to add. I thought I'd managed to get this one finally to print successfully, and I saw yesterday that it has failed, which is very frustrating. So that's a Ceratosaurus. So I've done another. I've positioned it differently on the bowl plate this time, and I'm going to try and print it again later today. And I've obviously the major one that's missing is Triceratops, which is currently curing in my machine downstairs. But yes, I'm looking at this, just working out the size, working out how I'm going to do, where I might position it. And that's what I'm going to start to work on now that I'm looking at these dinosaurs. Obviously I still have some assembly to do that you can see here, but what I'm working out, you can see they're in rough areas and zones together. We've got all of the velociraptors, got some other raptors here, and I'm going to hopefully be able to mark on this board where each of the dinosaurs will be, and then I can start to build the elevation changes, put some modelling compound down, and what have you. And once I've designed where everything's going to be, I will then start painting these at the same time as I'm going to be doing the terrain. Now, I am thinking about having a station. I think I've mentioned this before, can't remember. I'm thinking about having a station. So what I'm going to start doing as well, and I'll bring you along with this, I'm going to start designing the station, because that's how how visitors are going to access it. It's not going to be accessible by car, it's only accessible by train. It's going on a model railway, so whatever. It could be that there is access by car, but it won't be on this scene. It would be out of sight, out of shot, as it were. So anyway, and apologies for my voice. I've lost my voice. I've been quite sick this week. Yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Anyway, enjoying this a lot, and it's great fun to be printing these all these cool dinosaurs. Well, there you are. Like I say, a bit of a varied week. I've not done any more on that lake since I shot those little clips because of this illness. But I have been progressing the ArdaCon bottom table build just a little bit at a time, a little bit of smoothing at a time, and that is going to take a long time just because it isn't the quickest of processes. Anyway, I'm not going to speak very much longer because my voice is going even worse now. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, to anyone who is directly or indirectly impacted by the horrible war in Ukraine, my thoughts go out to you and anyone you know. And everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.